Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Welcome to the 90th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Time and Financial Freedom. So you guys, at the time of this recording, I am very, very excited because I'm getting ready for 2 back-to-back trips. Over Memorial Day weekend, I am going to Disneyland. I am so excited. I love Disneyland. I think a lot of people love Disney. It's, happiest place on earth. But my family, the last time we were in Disneyland was during when everything shut down with the pandemic. We were there. I remember being in the hotel. We had just finished Disney. We were actually at Great Wolf Lodge, which is like a indoor water park for kiddos. And I remember being in the hotel with my husband, and we're watching the TV when the president's announcing how everything's shutting down. If you guys remember 14 days to stop the spread. And I remember we look at each other oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Because while we knew it was a big deal, I don't think anyone knew what really was going to come with the pandemic. So I feel like I have a lot of gratitude that I was in Disneyland at that time, because I had so many amazing memories with my kids, with my family, right before the world changed and, we all went indoors and stopped hanging out with humans. So I feel like because of that, Disney has this extra special place in my heart, because those memories just became so much more special, and given everything that followed afterwards, and just that gratitude I have had of oh man, I'm so glad that we were able to experience Disney as a family before everything went crazy. And it's also pretty surreal to know that they actually ended up closing Disney down. I think it was the next day. And I think it was almost a year before anyone came back to Disneyland. It's wow, who knew we were going to be the last people at Disneyland for a year? Oh gosh, didn't have that in the cards. So I'm very excited to be going back to Disneyland over Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be a short trip. We're leaving on the Friday before, so May 27th, and we're getting back on the Monday, so actually on Memorial Day. We're going to spend 2 days at the park, and I'm just so excited. Now, I'm going to be back for 1 day. Back at home for 1 day, and then I'm going to get on a flight without my family, and I'll be flying to Florida for a couple of different things. The first is for my business mastermind. I go to Clearwater, Florida 4 times a year for my business mastermind, and I'll be doing that for 2 days. And then right after that is an event that my business coach, Greg Todd, does called the Smart Success Healthcare. It's like a live event for his platinum community. And so I'm very excited because I get to see a lot of my friends who are dietitians, physical therapists, occupational therapists, who are all kind of on the same boat of leveling up their business and really helping and serving people at the highest levels. In addition to learning and leveling up, we're going to do some fun stuff like jet skiing and boating and a dinner cruise. So it's going to be business and a little bit of party. So I'm very, very excited for that. But where I was sitting and reflecting was, my gosh, I'm going to be gone for 11 days, back-to-back vacations. And I am currently in my 5th month of being a full-time entrepreneur. And I really want to emphasize how it doesn't pass me the gratitude that I have for the situation that I'm in, and that I can have the ability to go on 2 back-to-back vacations. I don't have to ask for permission from my job. I don't have to try to figure out, how am I going to make this work with my leave balances? I don't have to worry about not making money, because the business I've built is making me money on autopilot. So I don't actively have to trade time for money. I know that during this 11-day period when I'm gone, my blog, my website will be making money for me. I know that there's other things that will be bringing in revenue, and I'll actually probably be making way more money during those 11 days of not working than I ever did at my regular job with actually working. I even was doing the math on okay, I would actually, I work for the federal government, so I wouldn't have had to work Memorial Day weekend. But looking at the time I have off, I would have had to take off 6 days. 6 days, I work 10-hour days. So that would have been 60 hours of paid time off I would have had to use for this trip. And how amazing is it that I don't have to use any PTO. I don't have to get permission to leave. I don't have to worry about, man, I hope no one else wants to take off Memorial Day. I hope I actually can take it off so I can go to Disney with my family. It's just this level of freedom that I've never experienced before. And so as I was reflecting on this, it's what kind of came up with the topic for this podcast of talking about time and financial freedom, because where I'm at right now with the situation that I have the money to go to Disneyland, even the price of flights, it's not cheap these days. Like, I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened, right? Gas prices went up and the airlines have been like, oh, it's time to get back money because people are traveling again. But it's, probably this time a couple of years ago, this wouldn't have been in the cards for us. So the gratitude to be able to have the financial freedom to take my kiddos back to Disneyland, a place that I love so much, and the ability to have the time to do it is so amazing. So what I want to talk about today is time and financial freedom. So let's start off talking about financial freedom and what is it? So financial freedom is where you're living a lifestyle that you don't have to worry about money. And I will tell you, I spent most of my life worrying about money as an adult. I think we have this vision of, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to become a dietitian, I'm going to get a good paying job, and life's going to be great. But then when it happens, we're like, well, we got student loans. Okay, well, I needed a car, so I got a lease. Well, I'm married now and my husband has student loans. Then you decide to have kids and you're like, who knew daycare was more than a mortgage? Like, life ends up being more expensive, I think, than how we realize. That's why you always hear people say adulting is hard, right? And often it has to do with finances. So for me, I think I spent so much of my life up until I got into entrepreneurship, living paycheck to paycheck, having to plan small little local trips for my family, which they loved. I mean, they had as much fun with the trips we do, Disneyland or staying local, going to the beach. They have just as much fun. So it's not about money, but having, during that season, we just didn't have the money to go do these big trips. So I feel like I've spent a good part of my adult life, my professional life, stressed out about money. So the concept of financial freedom for me was really appealing, of like, oh, a lifestyle where I don't have to worry about money. That is a thing. So financial freedom is also a lifestyle where money is continuing to come in. Ideally, it is where you are not exclusively trading time for money. So I often talk about two types of income, active income and passive income. Active income is what we're typically taught in school. It's what most of us do. It's where we're trading time for money. 40 hours of work for 40 hours of pay. If you do contract gigs, maybe you have a contract gig for a freelance writing gig, you do the work, you turn it in, you're paid one and done. Passive income, which I feel like I've been talking about a lot lately, it's where you're not exclusively trading time for money. It is where you create something once. You do have to create systems so that way people are constantly coming into your world, but then ultimately you're making sales on autopilot. So the question is, when it comes to financial freedom, how do you actually get there? How do you create this lifestyle where money's coming in and you don't have to worry about money? So I will say generally there's two paths. One is where you work more hours. That is where you work a full-time job, you get another job and another job, and you're just working more hours. And yes, if you work more, you're going to make more, right? But we'll talk about time in a minute. The other piece is to figure out the time game. And what I mean by figuring out the time game, I mean finding a way to have time freedom. And I'll be talking about that with passive income in just a minute. So when we think about time and we think about money, I want you to think about which is more valuable to you, time or money. Which is more replenishable, time or money. Now, when it comes to money, most of us who work a traditional job, every 2 weeks, we're going to get another paycheck, right? We could always go work another job, get another side gig, get a contract gig, and make some more money. But time is something we can't get back. We also know that tomorrow is not promised. For those who are listening who have kids, you know how the days are long, but the years are short, and you blink, and these little babies are, in my case, 11-year-olds who are kind of sassy, and you're like, what happened? We can't get back time. So while financial freedom is wonderful and lovely, I think there's actually something more important than financial freedom, and that's time freedom. So time freedom is where you have the ability to choose what you want to do with your time. Now, I know when I was a full-time employee and I was reliant on that job for the income, I didn't have time freedom because I couldn't just I couldn't just not work because I still had bills to pay and a family to take care of, and it just wasn't an option for me. But time freedom is possible. I think I'm an example of that because I'm living it now. So when it comes to having the ability to choose what you want to do with your time, it's okay. I'm mixing up my words here, but let me see if I can find a way to say this to explain time freedom. So time freedom is where you stop exclusively trading time for money, because, while time for money is what we're traditionally taught in school, the problem with it is the more time we spend working, the more likely we're going to get to be burnt out. and then we're not going to do the thing. We're not going to be enjoying what we're doing. We're not going to be super happy. And, the whole point of time and financial freedom is even just to give you that positive lifestyle where you're happy with what you're doing. And if you're have financial freedom, but you're so burnt out and so unhappy, it's like, yeah, you have money, but you're unhappy. What is the point, right? So for me, the time freedom is even more important because time is your greatest asset, not money, right? And I will say one thing that's kind of cool is if you are making money, you could actually use money to get back more time. So that's a thing too. I won't go into the weeds about that, but I know recently we've hired a house cleaner. Well, it's actually a husband and wife duo who comes in twice a month and cleans our house. And I think, well, it's like, well, gosh, that's time that instead of spending cleaning my house, I know some of you love cleaning. I do not. Instead of cleaning my house, I'm able to work on my business or spend time with my kids and use that time doing other things that I love. And I wouldn't have been able to afford those housekeepers had I not had some more financial freedom. So in a perfect world, I think that most of us would like financial and time freedom, right? We want both. We don't just want to keep working until we're totally burnt out. So the question is, how do you achieve it? How do you achieve both financial freedom where you're making money and having time freedom where you have the flexibility to do what you want with your time? So in order to do this, there's a few things. Now we are on a podcast, so I do not have like forever to explain these things because there's a lot of levels to it. But I think the most important things are you have to figure out how to collapse time, how to stop trading time for money. And that is why I talk about passive income so much. Passive income is not a get rich quick thing. It's not something that happens quick and easy. It is not free work or free money. It does take work and intention. But once you hit that tipping point where you are making money and you're not having to exclusively trade time for money, it is such a blessing. So you have to figure out how to collapse time, create systems, and have those passive income streams. Now, I've shared a lot about how my blog has given me passive income every month on my Instagram page at Dietitian Side Hustle and in the Facebook community, Dietitian Side Hustle. I share my monthly passive income reports. And I want to paint the picture of, I'm just going to share what my passive income looked like last year and kind of explain the time and financial freedom that comes from these passive income sources. So last year with my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, it made $39,000 in completely passive income. Now, my blog is going to be 3 years old this June 29th. So it took some time to build up money. First year, it did not make this much money, but in year 2, it made $39,000. So let's take a picture, take a look at how much money I would have to have made had I been trading time for money. So we know that according to the Academy's Comp and Benefit Survey, the median dietitian salary is $33.65 an hour. I think several of us, myself included, had taken side gigs before that paid less than that. But if I was just to assume I was making the median salary for a dietitian about $33 an hour. So in order to make that $39,000 that I made in 2021 in that 12-month period, I would have had to have worked 1,163 hours. This would have equaled about 97 hours per month, roughly 24 hours per week. Okay. So 24 hours a week away from my family, away from doing things that I enjoy, away from, what I love, what it would have given me $39,000. So maybe I would have had more financial freedom, but what it would have taken from me is the time, right? So the thing that I love about passive income is that I didn't have to work that much. At this point in my blogging game, I'm probably spending 5 to 7 hours per month on my blog. And I actually just hired a blog manager. She's amazing. And I'll probably be spending even less time on my blog because I now have some money where I'm paying someone else to manage it for me. So I hope I'm painting the picture on how passive income, while it can take a while to build up, can be such a game changer. And I've been talking quite a bit about how my blogging accelerator program is launching. And I think for me, thinking of this week where I'm going to be going to Disneyland, and then I'm going to be going on this amazing trip to Florida where I'm going to be like leveling up business-wise, which I love, but then also having so much fun. I hope to see a dolphin. That is my number one goal. That's all I want in life, is to see a dolphin right now. But I'm just thinking on how I get to do this is because I've been able to build up passive income through my blog, which has given me time and financial freedom. A lot of you know how the game changed. I started teaching other dietitians how to do this and doing a lot of things in my business to where now I'm a full-time entrepreneur in my 5th month. And having time and financial freedom has been the biggest blessing for me for my family, for so many reasons. And I truly want to help other dietitians, NDTRs, RDs to be, other healthcare professionals do what I've been able to do and to gain time and financial freedom. So when I'm launching Blogging Accelerator program, it's because of the time and financial freedom that the blogging world has given me, so that I could spend time with my family and friends doing things that I love. So I've mentioned that the doors to my Blogging Accelerator program are open now, and they will be closing on May 31st, 2022. If you're listening to this podcast episode later, visit my website, bloggingacceleratorprogram.com, and you'll be able to find out, are the doors opened or closed. But if you're listening to this now or at the very end of May 2022, know that the doors to the program are open. Now, the doors are going to be open until we reach 30 people in the program or that date. But here's the deal, guys, is I've been doing strategy sessions with dietitians, and they've been so much fun. I get on calls with dietitians and we talk about where they're at now, where they want to get, what are those like barriers that get in the way for them reaching their goals, and trying to figure out, is the Blogging Accelerator program the right fit for them to reach their goals of having time freedom, of having financial freedom. And I love having these calls, but I'm in a situation right now where I don't have a lot of time to have these calls because I could only chat with people up until May 27th because I'm going to Disneyland. I'll be back for a day, then I'm going to Florida. So I won't be able to take any calls from the 27th of May until June 7th. So I've been thinking a lot about this. And again, I really want to help 30 people start their blog businesses so that they can be on their way to having time and financial freedom. So I'm going to present an offer to where anyone who's listening to this, if you're listening to this before May 31st, if you apply for a free strategy session with me, we will get something on the books. We will get something on the books, and I will do calls up until June 10th. Now, at that time, doors will be the doors are going to close at the end of May, but if you get a call scheduled with me on the books, then what will happen is when I get back from all of my vacations, we'll hop on a call, we'll chat. And if we do decide that you would be the best fit for Blogging Accelerator program, then you'll still have an opportunity to join with our 8th cohort. So I want to say too about these calls that I'm doing is I don't do one-on-one work anymore. I have Blogging Accelerator program. I serve this community at a really high level, and I'm continuing to serve them. And then I have my Blog Boss Mastermind. That's the most you get from me. But even then, it's not one-to-one, it's a group setting. So I don't offer one-to-one calls outside of these launch periods where I offer these free strategy sessions. And I do it because I love talking to dietitians and RDs to be in DTRs. And I get so excited because I love hearing your guys' visions and dreams with what you want to do, because dietitians are so amazing. And you guys are world changers. If we could just help each and every one of you listening, remove those limiting beliefs that you have and help you to see that you can do whatever you want to do, all those dreams in your head are possible, then holy cow, the world would be changed. But I love having those calls with dietitians and hearing what they're dreaming and helping them figure out, okay, what's a way that we can make this dream a reality, and helping them on their own journey. So I do these calls because I really enjoy them. I love finding people who are the best fit for the program. And even if, someone isn't the best fit for the program, that's okay. They could at least have clarity and where they are and where they're going and what they need to do next. So they're always valuable calls, always so fun. So I actually created a website that you can go to if you are interested in applying for a free strategy session with me. The website is blogstrategycall.com. I'm going to spell, but spelling's hard. blogstrategycall.com. blogstrategycall.com. If you go to that website, there'll be an application that you can fill out. And then if it looks good to go, you'll be sent to a calendar where you can get on the books with me. Again, if you listen to this soon, I'll be able to get on calls between now and the 26th of May, because I am leaving on the 27th. But then when I get back between June 7th and 10th, I'll have time for slots. Space is limited, but if you're like, I want time freedom and I want financial freedom, I don't want to keep dreaming, I want to start this process now, I want to start doing this now, that I'd encourage you to go to blogstrategycall.com to apply for a free strategy session with me. And I would love to help you on your journey to gaining time and financial freedom. So that is it for today's podcast episode. I hope this kind of got you thinking a little bit differently about time freedom and financial freedom, and then also considering how important passive income can be to giving us both time and financial freedom. So I hope that you have such a lovely day, and thank you as always so much for listening to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. Bye, guys.